Hi everyone, I hope you're having fun so far. We have reached the halftime of this first day and now we will focus on a different but very important subject, the communication between the dentist and the laboratory. I'm happy to present my Venezuelan friend and aesthetic master, Dr. Joan Figueira. Joan graduated from the Central University of Venezuela and then pursued his studies in the United States at the UCLA Center of Aesthetic Dentistry under the leadership of prominent prosthodontic and master ceramist Dr. Edward McLaren. Dr. Figueira is now faculty at the Center for Aesthetic Dentistry at UCLA together with Dr. McLaren and also presents numerous lectures and hands-on courses internationally. Currently, he maintains a private practice focusing in aesthetic, restorative and comprehensive full mouth cases in Mexico, and is still a member of the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. It is great to have Joan presenting his approach about the communication with the laboratory in such an important time of our dental practice evolution such as this one, where analogic and digital still live together. Let's hear Dr. Joan Figueira.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Joan Figueira, and thank you for the invitation to this kind of like an online congress meeting. I think it's a great idea. So my topic today is communication protocols with the lab, analog versus digital. Thank you to Dr. Joao and all his team to make this possible. I think it's a great idea. Why? Because everyone has to be in continuing education and this is totally free. And we have to do self-education as well. So remember something, not everyone can afford a postgraduate program right now. And on the other hand, the universities cannot keep up with all the nuances, the new technology out there. I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to be a great week, great speakers. Some of them, they're my friends. So let's start. So I don't receive anything from any company about money. If you buy Photomed, if you buy Besco, they help me out. Okay, I help them out. So, let's start. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Venezuela. I did my undergraduate program over there. And after that, I moved to United States to keep my education. I still live in Los Angeles, okay? But my first school here was Indiana University. And after that, I moved to UCLA, University California, Los Angeles, thanks to Dr. Pascal Magnier. I met him almost 10 years ago and he introduced me to Dr. McLaren, who is my dental father and my mentor. Many things I'm gonna share that I learned from him. Now, I have an office in Mexico. I work every weekend teaching continuing education course, private course about ceramic system, bonding, color, and communication with the lab. That's the topic, okay, they're gonna cover today. So thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Dr. McLaren. And what I get really good about communication with the lab is because my boss or our program at UCLA, remember Dr. McLaren is a master ceramist and a pros. So he has to do shade selection and he has to create color. But now we are in the digital era. So let's see how this approach to the lab and all this technology have evolved. So I like this question. I took this one from Dr. Todd Ehrlich. Is digital transforming what we do or replacing what we do? I think that digital or all this new technology help us, okay, to do, for example, from the lab side, high production level, okay? So we can afford more restoration in less time. And remember something, I want in my mouth, in the posterior, just monolithic, stain, glaze, and mechanical polish. In the anterior some, yes, I still gonna need my ceramics. But digital dental team is a reality. I think that everyone, every dentist, orthodontist, periodontics, restorative dentists, pros, they have to have a scanner, at least intraoral scanners, okay? So this is very important. I don't see the intraoral scanners like a tool just for scanning. I use it for diagnosis, and you're gonna see what I refer in a little bit. But what I see right now is that everything is going trending in dentistry. Let me tell you something, guys. Nothing is new in dentistry. We have just new toys, new technology, okay, to help the patient. The patient is the center of everything that what we do every day. Because I'm gonna show you one example. Now everyone is prepless, minimal prep, okay, minimal invasive procedures. But I like this one from Dr. Francesco Manghiani from Italy, prepless versus brainless. Because now I'm talking about the young dentists. They don't even read a book. They just want to learn everything through Facebook or Instagram. That is bad, guys. You have to go where you come from. Okay, that's very important because talking about ceramic system, we have to do minimal modifications in the dental structure to be successful about our ceramic system, either it's feldspathic, pressable material, or zirconia. We have to do minimal things like chamfer or knife, edge in the cervical margin. We have to follow the three planes of the tooth, okay? And at least we have to remove the aprismatic layer of enamel, at least. So minimal things to have success rate in our ceramic system. When we are closing some spaces, we have to do the L shape here, so my ceramics can create the mini wings. If you don't do this L shape here to close this space, the restoration is gonna look fake. And here, I think that this depends what your ceramics can read. And remember something, calibration with your technician is the key in this protocol of communication with the lab. Maybe my ceramics can read like chamfer, but another ceramist, like Dr. McLaren, can read my knife edge. So, and depends which ceramic system are you gonna use. And at least we have to smooth sharp edges, okay? Remember something, ceramic system under stress is gonna break, it's gonna fail. On the other hand, I know the CAD-CAM can help us right now, for example, to create the emergency profile even before we place the implant, or even copying okay, the emergency profile of the natural tooth and do something CAT-CAM. I think my friend Victor Clavijo is gonna cover something of that. But still, the tissue is the issue, okay? So we have to be very careful. Let me share some pair here with you. When I have to do a gingivectomy, a quick gingivectomy, and I don't wanna do a double core gold standard technique for making impression, I use something like Traxodent retraction paste from Premiere, or I can use the 3M retraction paste. I think that we have to have protocol for everything. Protocol for bonding, protocol for selection of my material, talking about ceramic system, and protocol with the lab. Even if we're doing analog way or the digital dental team, because this is possible. Okay, we can do dentistry in one day at the high level. Okay, that is very important. Well, let's talk about what's the first article that I found in the literature about digital dental team. I found this one 2009. This is from Dr. Ed McLaren. I have another one with Dr. Ed McLaren and Lee Kulp. Something like, Lee Kulp was flying in the morning to Los Angeles, making digital impression, and Dr. McLaren was doing something like minimal cutback, doing a little porcelain, and they were cementing if the afternoon. This is nothing new, guys. So, in my office, I'm gonna share what happened in my office from the beginning of the first appointment to the end, that is the final cementation. So the patient come to my office, we did all these photo protocols. I think the most important, because I know all the audience out there, they know how to take photos. But one teaching point that I want to stress out is this digital incisal plane photo. You have to take this picture at least 2 times. Of course, pre-op situation and in the prototypes phase. This is very important. After that, we have to apply or to show to the patient something digital, a digital simulation. Okay, I'm gonna share, what we do. Okay, we do Photoshop Small Design. This technique is nothing new. Dr. McLaren created this technique like 14 or 15 years ago. But the point here is your team or you have to show something digital to the patient in the computer so you can involve the patient pretty quick before even any wax or any mounting in the articulator, for example. Okay, so in this case we did a little bit of liquify and digital bleaching in Photoshop, and after that we take impression. Okay, in this case this is an analog pathway, so we make a physical impression. After everything is going to the lab, we have to show the treatment planning presentation to the patient. And the patient hopefully say yes. We have money in the front. So now we can send everything to the lab. They can start doing a wax. And we start the conversation and the communication with the lab. He's gonna make, basing our photography in our diagnosis, okay? He's gonna make a wax up. If we need the periodontist, the orthodontics, the oral surgeon, everything is going to happen here, okay, in this first phase during the treatment planning presentation. Now the lab do the wax up, and now everything is going back to the office. What happened in the second visit is, now we're going to place the prototype in the mouth of the patient. This is going to be the test drive. We're going to evaluate 2 things. First of all, aesthetic and occlusion function. Okay, we're going to repeat some photos with the prototype on the mouth of the patient. And again, the most important photo for me here is the digital incisal plane. Okay, because after that, I can overlay and put in relationship my face articulator, my face analyzer of Dr. John Coyce, my OneBite device. After that, if I'm not rushing with the patient, every practice is a little different. Okay, you're gonna see different cases through my presentation. I want the patient live with the prototypes at least few days, okay? The patient gonna go home, get some feedback from her family, her husband, okay? And the patient has to approve the prototypes. He has to sign, I like the prototype. We're gonna make a copy of the prototype if we did some modifications. If we didn't, we can work with the WhatsApp, okay? And we're gonna prep through the mock-up. And remember something, guys, the two main complaints from the lab to us, they are, first of all, impressions, second, color. I think the most important part about color is the stump shade, okay? The technician doesn't have a crystal ball so that he can guess what is happening on the mouth of the patient. So we're gonna take the stump shade, we're gonna take all the information, and now we send everything to the lab. So the lab is gonna check every point, the checklist. Photos, okay, with the prototype, without photos of the prep, final impression, opposing, by registration, with the preps, with the provisionals or prototypes, and we have to send a copy of the prototype that the patient already approved, okay? Everything has to be cross-mounting in the articulator. And we're gonna have the conversation which ceramic system we're gonna use in this case: feldspathic, pressable material, zirconia, metal porcelain, whatever you want, the composite, okay? And our technician is gonna make, this case, and everything's gonna be back to the office. Now we're gonna remove the prototypes and we're gonna do the try-in. But remember something, the first try-in happens in the lab. I can be 99% sure they're gonna cement this case, okay? In the dies, I'm gonna check fitting. In the solid cast, I'm gonna check contacts. And in the stump shade dies, I'm gonna check what? Color, okay? So we're gonna see a little bit more after a couple of slides. And after the try-in, if everything goes right, okay, I'm gonna cement the case. 99% of my dentistry is bonding dentistry, okay? And after that, I'm gonna do the Niagara in the patient. I know that this protocol is gonna be a little different between cases, but pretty much, this is my cooking recipe for all my cases, okay? So the digital incisal plane, I can use the facial analyzer of Dr. John Kois. I can use it to mount my case as well. Or it's gonna be the same with the one bite. Because remember, everything has to be correlated with the horizontal plane of the patient, okay? So to mounting my case, I'm gonna use the digital incisal plane photo with the prototypes and without, and the Panadem, okay, facial analyzer from Dr. John Kois, and the one bite. I can use 3 of them, without any problem because it's the same principle. So this is very important. Now let's see what is different between the analog way and the digital path that we're living right now. Of course, we can do this first pre-op impression with the intraoral scanner, or we can make the physical impression and we can ask to our lab to scan the impression. So everything is gonna go to the software, whatever is OpenWings, 3Shape, Exocad, and we can start designing the case. We can do digital WhatsApp, okay? We can print them right now. So everything for me gets easier. I remember in the past, I used to travel to Venezuela. I was born and raised there, remember. I still see some patients over there. In the past, when I was seeing some patients there, I have to make the physical impressions and go back to United States, make the model work, okay, make the ceramic system. Now it's pretty easy just to scan intraoral, send the files. So when I go back to Los Angeles, or to Mexico, where I'm working right now, everything is ready to go. So really, what I see about the digital way is the convenience way. Okay, everything is easier. We don't have to go with physical impression. We can avoid so many steps, and at the same time delivering high quality cases. So this is very important. So at least, this is what I say, at least everyone out there should buy an intraoral scan. So this is very important. So everyone is gonna find his own way. I know people who is 50% analog, 50% digital, half and half. This is my case, okay? I still like, for example, the solid cast to check my interproximal points or contact points. So some people is 100% digital, okay? But we have to be there. Technology has to be part of our daily practice. That is very important. I think like everything, there are pros and cons is both in analog versus the technology of the digital way. I think the main cons in the digital world is the main investment that you're gonna make, but don't be afraid, go for it, okay? But if you think that you're gonna plug and play, okay, your intraoral scanner and everything is gonna be pretty easy to do it, you are wrong, okay? All this technology, okay, of the digital dental team has the learning curve, okay? So for that reason, okay, you have to keep or to have the knowledge of the analog world pretty strong there, because everything is gonna be easier in the digital side, okay? So watch out, okay? This learning curve, of course, the more you practice, the easier it's gonna be, but I still have my respect about this machine because you have to be there practicing every day. But the protocol has to be almost the same with your lab. Still, you have to send all the information to your lab. Because remember something, guys, talking about color, CAD-CAM cannot help us too much. Those scanners are pretty far away for shade selection, okay? So the teamwork, still with the digital world, has to be really strong, really tight relationship. Remember, they are just toys who help us, because always I'm gonna need my technician. I think they always are gonna need my technician. Or if you are like a Dr. McLaren, Dario Adolfi, Dr. Christian Kochman, or Paulo Cano, they are both, okay, you are creating your own level, okay, because internal stain, external stain, glaze, and a little contour and texture is not rocket science, okay? I know many of my friends, they do both sides, dentistry and the technician side, okay? So how I see this digital world, mainly for diagnosis, when I have to treat the patient, because the how is pretty easy. For example, the how to prep a crown. You learn that in dental school. But what I see, for example, my intraoral scanner is like diagnosis. I can scan my patient, save the data, and scan the patient every year and see how much wear he have had in the last 2 years, for example, okay? And remember, we can use it for impression, but not for color. For color, we still need the visual side, okay? We have some technology like spectrophotometers or colorimeters that can help us for that shade selection. And of course, final of this day, we have to know how to choose the right material for our cases. But this is very critical point for me. That first appointment with the patient, where I get all the records, is the most important. Even digital, analog, or both, because with all these records, I'm gonna sit down and make my treatment planning. I always train my student, you have to master treatment planning presentation. That is the key of case acceptance, okay? Because this is the dentistry that every day we're getting in our office, for example. We have to be ready how our team is gonna approach this case, and each case is different. For example, if he was 65 years old, maybe I don't remove the implant, okay? But everyone knows right now that I can have the DICOM file from the CBTV. I can, scan the model, have the bone, overlap everything, and have more predictable results because this is how technology works. Technology works to get all the records, but when I'm gonna remove that implant and after that do bone grafting and after that place a new implant, between the patient and me there is no CAD/CAM, okay, just the surgical guide that it helps me, okay, to be more precise. Everyone knows this one because on the other side, all this technology has to be used under, okay, clinical and scientific evidence. This is very important, okay? I never forget this, even in the analog or digital world, because my intraoral scanner helped me to evaluate, for example, the risk of my patient. Sometimes you have to think something like, if I remove the implant, I'm helping the patient, for example, the case I just showed you, or I'm making, worse the situation. Okay, in this case, 24 years old lady. I mean, we have the biology to our side, okay, but remember, don't do over treatment. That is what I see right now a lot. For example, okay, you see some doctors that the only treatment planning they know is 10 veneers to each patient. That is wrong, guys. That is over treatment, okay? So remember, with CAD/CAM you can go there pretty easy with the over treatment cases. So let's start with this case. This case, you know that the patient, if I ask you when you have to treat this patient, you're gonna, your reply is gonna be just right away, okay? And the how about these cases, for sure, Professora Francesca Valiati is gonna cover pretty good, okay, because she's the master in the 3 steps technique, okay? So I'm just gonna go over the diagnosis phases a little bit, but with the communication with the lab and how we apply long-term prototypes to this kind of patient, because in my practice, this patient cannot afford 28 ceramic units at once. So we manage this kind of patient with a long-term composite prototype. But in that patient, you know that he needs treatment, okay? You know the why, okay? You know the when, and for sure you know the how, okay? But in some patients, or even in yourself or myself, okay, I always ask to myself when I gonna need treatment, okay? Because I wear every night for sure, but if I put my intraoral scanners today, okay, I scan my upper and lower arch, and I scan my mouth 1 year from now, and I have this wear 28 to 38 microns of physiological wear, I'm fine, okay? I don't need treatment because this is the natural way how we wear our teeth. But if we are wearing off more than 100 microns per year, okay, that is not physiological. So we have to at least maybe use a night guard. I want that you wear the acrylic and don't wear your teeth. And remember, we cannot see 25 micron with our eyes. The only way is, or you make physical impression, okay, and you are going measuring every year in the cast, in the physical cast, in the stone cast, how much your patient are wearing each of them, or you can buy an intraoral scanner, scan every year your patients, and show them with data, with numbers, when they're gonna need treatment planning or intervention. Okay, that is very important because in extensive rehabilitation, it's easy. Okay, you know when the patient needs treatment planning, but in these kind of cases, they see more often and often. This is a 23 years old patient. What are we gonna do here? Okay, just overlay, bone lay, whatever lay, put a full mouth in IMAX. Okay, so the question is when this patient is gonna need treatment. That is my question. What I ask to myself with each patient. Some patients are easy, okay, but we see this patient because the diet right now of these teenagers is different. Look, for example, this drink. Okay, this is dangerous. Okay, about the pH. We should be measuring the pH of the saliva in each patient and the flow of the saliva. Everything is diagnosis, guys. So you have to apply. Where are your patients? Okay, for sure I am not here because I know I don't have any more KNA guidance. Okay, maybe I'm gonna be here Zoom. Okay, so we have to analyze where our patients, are in the diagnosis and risk. Okay, there are keywords: diagnosis and risk. And the first piece of technology you have to buy for your office is a camera, because this is the main tool to communicate with the lab. Okay, remember, we have to send photos about the patient for diagnosis, for WhatsApp. Okay, for color. Remember, most of my ceramics, they don't see the patient. And let me talk a little bit about photography here. So we're gonna be focused. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the digital single lens reflex. Okay, but let me tell you something about the intraoral camera. Okay, I am not a big fan of those, but they work to sell what I call dentistry one-to-one. Okay, to show to the patient right away on the TV what happened, the patient coming with a fracture, okay, or broken crown. You can show to the patient pretty quick for the communication. So I have both in my office, intraorals, and this one is the gold standard digital single lens reflex. Okay, and remember, anybody works. Okay, but the most important thing here is the lens and the light. Okay, the lens has to be between 105 and 85 millimeters. You want to know why? Because it's the less distortion that we have with the reality behind the camera. Because remember, after all this digital simulation, Photoshop Smart Design, for example, we want to transfer everything to a WhatsApp. Okay, we have to do the test driver, either analog wax or digital wax, and the light. If you do ortho, perio, okay, oral surgeon, you don't really need the twin flashes. But if you're doing restorative dentistry every day, and we have to deal with color every day, you need, okay, the twin flashes. Nikon, Canon, both work. Okay, everyone shooting in manual where we can control exposure. I mean, the exposure is the f-stop or shutter speed, and the aperture. Okay, so for portraits, we're gonna be between f-stop 5.6 or f8, and for the lower third of the face, intraoral, from f22 and higher. The shutter speed 125. Remember, shutter speed of photographer rule is the shutter speed has to be higher or the same of the focal length of your lens. Okay, everyone shooting in RAW file. Okay, I'm just finishing an article with Dr. McLaren about why the technician or ceramist and the dentist should be taking everything, not just the color photos, everything in RAW. ISO between 200 to 400, and the white balance is a key topic when we are talking about color. Your white balance has to be between 5,000 and 6,000. The working around number, and we just published that this year with Dr. Ronald Goldstein and Dr. Ed McLaren, is 5700 Kelvin degrees. And the set picture control for Nikon in standard, for Canon in normal. However, let me share here a teaching point, okay? You can, in the set picture control, change everything from standard to monochromatic, okay, in your camera. Okay, remember, when you change this, every picture is gonna come in black and white. And remember, what we evaluate with black and white is value, the most important dimension talking about color, okay? So, if I'm doing a class 4, before I put my rubber band, I get the two closest dentin shade, I light cure those, on the tooth, and I put my camera in monochromatic, and I take a photo so I can get closer in my dentin selection. And remember, all the color is coming from the dentin. Enamel is just a filter, okay? Because, for example, when my students I'm buying or getting the photography equipment, I want them put the money in the flash. I want everyone buying twin flashes. I'm gonna show you why. Everything has a why, a reason. The ring flash is good for orthodontics, from oral surgeon, for periodontics, okay? They don't need to deal, okay, with color every day. And this is the reason. Look at the specular highlight pattern when the twin flash hit the tooth, okay? Remember, the only third that really works for shade selection is the middle third. So this is twin flash, this is a ring flash, okay? Twin flash, the specular highlights leave the middle of the tooth, the only zone who really works for shade selection, really clean, okay? So, because if I move my tool for measuring color, okay, in Photoshop here, for example, I'm measuring flash, okay? And I'm not measuring the tooth, and you really want to measure or analyze the tooth. So, what we apply here, okay, what we teach Dr. McLaren and myself, is how to analyze color in Photoshop. Remember, we can give numbers, okay, for shade selection right now. Sasha Hines is doing something similar, okay, similar technique. One of the myths about color is that in the Vita Classic, B1 is the highest value color tab. That is wrong, okay? And let me show you some numbers here. This is how we measure in Photoshop. So I measure A1 shade tab, okay? And I'm gonna check here the LAV chart, and remember, A1 in this case give me 83 units, okay? That's a number. B1 give me 82. I can show you with numbers that A1 has higher value, okay, than B1. Remember something, guys, okay? Talking about dental school, we don't learn too much about color in dental school in undergraduate programs, okay? So remember that. So for that reason, we have to train about color, because our responsibility, like doctors, like a dentist, is just to take shade and analyze in Photoshop. For example, I give that information to my technician, and he has to create color. That is technician responsibility, okay? So everyone has different responsibilities here. So remember, with HSB, we measure chroma, okay, the saturation. And with the LAV, okay, we want to measure value. That's just to keep it simple. So let me show you why your lens should be between 85 and 105, okay, to avoid distortion. I know that you can do PSD, DSD, okay, with iPad or with your cell phone, okay, but you're gonna have distortion in the photo, and what you want is really transfer everything to your waxer, digital or analog, and do the test drive on the patient. You can see here, on the right, it's the same patient and the same veneers, but the photo was taken with different lenses. You can see the difference. Between 85 and 105, your images is gonna be flattened, more closely to the reality. And everyone have to be taking photos in camera raw format. Because remember, guys, when you take the photo in camera raw, you have the whole information, the whole pixels information, the whole metadata in that photo, and you have the potential, if you make some mistakes, to fix the photo later, okay? But the main reason, okay, beside the legal reason, okay, in US it's pretty important, the legal part, okay, but the main reason why I teach to my students to take camera raw is for shades analysis in Photoshop. Okay, I don't recommend to do photos with your cell phone. Okay, everyone should be getting a digital single lens reflex with a twin flashes and 105 or 100 millimeters. But when I use my cell phone, I use for making a video. Okay, we can see difference between, when you say to the patient smile, in the photo, and when you make a video. Some patients, they try to frame the smile. So I use both information. And now you can take RAW with your cell phone. Okay, you can record from your microscope with a cell phone. So I use both in my private practice. And let me share this with you guys. Let me share Udemy. Udemy, okay, is a web page that you can take any courses, okay, not just photography, like I'm looking here, okay, in the browser, okay. You can take 3D printer courses, okay. Every courses, remember, all this technology, it doesn't belong to dentistry. CAD/CAM doesn't belong, or the beginning is not dentistry. Okay, so remember that. So you can go to Udemy and learn from free. To get, okay, really nice occlusal shot, I'm gonna recommend this C-clamp. C-clamp, you can get it from Photomed, okay, to avoid glove in the photo. Okay, and remember this shape. Okay, what I do is I buy a normal metal black contraster. I cut it in this way, and these small things or notch is gonna rest in the lower anteriors to avoid, okay, the tongue in the photo. So if you're doing a nice, 3 units in IMAX or zirconia or any composite, just diagnose the surface of the tooth, you can avoid, after remove the tongue in Photoshop or in Keynote. Okay, this is pretty important. So people ask me, how many photos do you take daily? Let me be honest with you guys. If it's an easy case and I want to show right away with a quick Photoshop smile design, okay, this is what I used to do when I was a resident at UCLA. I did 3 years postgraduate training with Dr. McLaren. I just need these 5 photos because really it's about color, okay? 5 photos, I can involve visually pretty quick the patient into the treatment planning. How am I gonna get from there to there? Okay, because that is the 2 questions the patient always asks. They are how long, how much. That's it. Okay, and after that I do my final treatment planning presentation. But normally what my assistant they do is the AACD dental photography, the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. I'm a member of that. I invite everyone to join us. Okay, so I can take both, but normally I do the full series to all my patients. In my clinic, okay, the same protocol to all my patients, even if they go for a crown or for full mouth. Let me share something with you guys. You can go to edmclaren.com, edmclaren.com, and you can download the 65 plus articles that my boss has published, some of them with me in the last few years, okay? And this is the first one of the digital smile design or the Photoshop smile design technique that we teach, okay, at UCLA and around the world. You can buy the DVD. The DVD is in Spanish and in English. I know there are many Spanish people out there listening right now. Hola, ¿cómo están? Okay, and this is the core of the technique. Always we start with the digital in salsa plane, okay, remember 2 times pre-op and the prototypes. You can take in the final restoration, but if you avoid this photo during the prototypes phase, the bonding functional steady prototypes, you don't know if my technician or your assistant or yourself mount the case properly. After that, we can apply liquify, digital bleaching, transfer teeth from the gallery, work with a file, okay, teeth and tracing, and finally transferring everything to the wax up, okay, we design in the computer in 2 dimensions, okay, X and Y. And the Z, okay, is the occlusion. So we have to transfer everything because one limitation in PowerPoint, Keynote, or Photoshop is we are working in 2 dimensions. We cannot evaluate function. Okay, so this is the typical patient. They go to my office. This is a patient I did in Mexico. Okay, so this is the typical patient that you say, hey, you are gummy smile, and the patient is gonna say, and all my family is the same. Okay, nobody die because of gummy smile. So with Photoshop smile design technique, I can show to the patient what can I do for her in 5 minutes. Okay, remember, you don't have time to be in the computer the whole day. I don't have time. I need a technique who can show to the patient, okay, what I can do for you, quick, fast, and effective. And this is the technique that I really like, Photoshop Smile Design. Okay, I can do this in 5 minutes. Okay, let me show you pretty quick how I do it. And of course, after the patients say yes and sign the treatment planning, we have to transfer everything from 2-dimension to 3-dimension, okay, to our prototypes, okay? We call prototypes, you can call them mock-up. So this is the point. We did this case, okay, with Reveal. The patient, okay, we did a period surgery. My friend Gerardo Chacon from Venezuela, okay, he did the surgery in Mexico. And I placed the prototypes in this patient. The patient is still in the bonding functional steady prototype in Reveal. High filler flowable composite from Visca, okay? So this is how we do every day our cases. A quick, Photoshop Smart Design, the patient say yes, how I can get there. So this is, and we design our treatment planning. Of course, there are few software out there. Every CAD system has one, every company. There is Serec one, Heraus, 3Shape, Smile Designer Pro, Exocad, Zirconsan, Galit Gurel has one, Dr. Mauro Fradiani, who is in this Congress, okay, has one, but of course, most of them, they are, you have to pay some fee, annual fee, okay? So I like Photoshop because it's cheap, it's easy, it's friendly program. But this is the limitation. We cannot test occlusion. Maybe some software you can use the digital articulator and get some guidance about occlusion and print or mill your prototype. But now we're making the synergy between Photoshop Smart Design and 3Shape, because the point is to transfer everything, okay, from the Photoshop Smart Design to the prototypes. Short term with Visacrylic and long term, okay, on composite. Okay, this is what we did in this case. Okay, I did with my friends Jaime, okay, and Ivan, Guatemala. I do a lot of live patient courses around the world. So this is the point. After the prototypes, the patient can approve the prototypes. We make the impression of the prototype. We prep driving through the mock-up. Okay, we send everything to the lab. We already had the conversation about the ceramic system and we bond. Okay, pre-op, the surgery, the prototype, and the final. Look the prototype, look the final restoration. The patient approved this and my technician has to follow the prototypes that ready the patient approved.
To believe we were burning on the edge of something beautiful, something beautiful. Selling a dream, smoking mirrors keep us waiting on a miracle, on a miracle. Say go through the darkest of days, heaven's a heartbreak away. Never let you go, never let me down. Oh, it's been a hell of a ride, driving the edge of a knife. Never let you go, never let me down. Won't you give up? Nah, nah, nah. I won't give up. Nah, nah, nah. Let me love you. Let me love you. Won't you give up? Nah, nah, nah. I won't give up. Nah, nah, nah. Let me love you.
So I just showed you another way how you can transfer everything from 2D Photoshop Smart Design to 3D, okay? What you have to do is do your digital Smart Design in Keynote or your Photoshop Smart Design in Photoshop and send to Spain to this company. The name is Nemo, okay? And you have to send the STL files, and they're going to transfer everything from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. They're going to send you the STL file of the prototypes, and you can print them into 3D printer or send to the lab. They can print for you. I think it's a great tool, okay? You can get the software as well, because this is the point, from 2 dimensions to the prototypes, okay? So pre-op situation, we make the photo, we do the treatment planning, we do the Photoshop Smart Design, we send, okay, to Nemo in Spain. They send me the STL files, okay, and the same, I print the STL file, the model, I do a matrix, bisacrylic, and boom, okay, I try on the patient. Or you can transfer your Photoshop Smart Design to do analog wax-up, okay, or you can analyze the case in Photoshop Smart Design and do the digital wax-up in 3Shape.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. Been around for a long, long year.
I like to be honest with you, if we're doing digital wax-up in the 3Shape software, 6 teeth, okay, 10 teeth, they are fine, but full mouth cases, sometimes they are not easier. You need a good designer, okay? Sometimes what we do when we're working, you know, long distance, they mail the STL file, or I made the STL file from them, they print, and I like sometimes, okay, the analog old-fashioned way wax-up with a lot of texture, and what I do is double scan, okay, for my prototypes, okay? So, but these machines and everything is getting better and better, okay? You can add texture right now with the software, and those printer and getting, you know, cheaper and easier and more accurate to use. I have the Formlab, okay, right now it's in front of me. I just washing my Formlab right now. So, difference between models, 3D printing or analog models, they are not too much different in accuracy, okay? I think for that reason I say that everyone, even orthodontists, that is very important that you have to buy an intraoral scanners, okay? Sometimes when the patient has a lot of wear, I can use like a long-term prototype, PMMA. In some case, I use it. But normally, in my daily practice, I use short-term bisacrylic, okay? And long-term high filler flowable composite, okay? This is my choices for everyday practice. Dr. Pascal Magnier call it MOCA. Dr. Gary Goodell call it APT. Dr. Ed McLaren called the bonding functional steady prototypes, and that's the way how I call for my patient. You can use for long term your normal composite. You have just to warm the composite, okay, to make it flowable. So this is a clinical tip that I learned from Andres Roman in Argentina to open the gingival embrasures easier. Let me tell you something. 98 of my prototypes, they are splinted. Okay, just in few cases I have done, you know, individual prototype, because the point here is I can do 28 teeth in long-term composite prototypes in 45 minutes. But, okay, and it takes me around 2 hours. But if I wanna do 28 teeth in composite, this is gonna take me 1 day. How much I have to charge to the patient? Okay, remember the 2 main questions: how long, how much. Never forget that. I always teach to my patients. Okay, they have to clean with Superfloss and the water pick. I designed this. This is my kit. The name is Simplify. I can do my prototypes, my preps, Von lay, crown, inlay, whatever lay, okay, with my kit, okay, carbide for everything that is acrylic, bisacrylic, and composite, and diamond for my preps. This is my polish sequence. The most important in this sequence for me is the leather buff. This one. I bought it from Brass Seller. Okay, this is a Monday morning pair. Okay, you have to use it between 8,000 to 10,000 RPM in the electrical hand piece. Okay, generally speaking, if you're polishing a composite, zirconia, Emax, your RPM has to be between 6,000 and 10,000. We did research at UCLA, and now Dr. McLaren is doing the same research with University of Alabama, because Dr. McLaren moved to University of Alabama. Great school, #1 in research. Okay, let's talk about impressions and colors, the main two complaints. GPD, 88 of the impression that are going to the lab, there are some errors. Okay, so between intraoral scanners, okay, or scanners in general, and the physical impressions, they are not too much different, to be honest. Okay, because if you don't use the technology right, you're gonna be, remaking some stuff as well. Okay, I'm talking about color. Those scanners, they are not ready to really measure color for you. And for those who are using still like a color map, because that was the way we were taught at dental school, okay, remember something. Who has to make the color map is who is creating color. If you are your own technician, okay, do the color map. But if you are not doing your own porcelain, I think the best communication is through the camera, okay? Because when you're doing full mouth cases or 10 veneers, this is the map. You have to give the point A to your technician. Point A is the stump shade, okay? And point B is the final decided shade that you already had the conversation with the patient. Between point A and point B, that path is what we call, okay, creating color. So that responsibility, if you're doing composite or your own porcelain, okay, it's your responsibility, it's your task. If no, it's the technician task. For example, this case courtesy of Bayon Su, Sunbeam, sorry. Sunbeam is creating the color map right now here. For example, if you create the color map as a dentist, okay, you're gonna place here just blue, okay? In this case, Sunbeam is using Noritake. Do you know how many aqua blue has the system? So for a dentist, it's just a blue, okay? For that reason, quit doing color maps. I think the best way to communicate with the lab is through the camera, okay? Otherwise, you have a ceramics in office and you can't, have this kind of result, okay? So it's very important how you're gonna communicate with the lab. So let's talk a little bit about color. I use the trilogy of Dr. Ed McLaren, the 3 steps. First of all, visual. Second, with my camera, photographies. And after that, I'm gonna analyze the photo in Photoshop. And for verification, you can use the Easy Vita shade or any spectrophotometer out there. Remember, in the step #1, you're gonna go through elimination process, okay? You're gonna start with the full, okay, shade tabs, and you're gonna take 2 or 3. And first of all, you're gonna evaluate the value, which is the most important dimension talking about color. And if it's necessary, you're gonna choose the chroma. Okay, remember something, guys. Now, saturation or chroma is given to restoration through stains, internal or external stains. Okay, that is very important. We're kind of like we're back to the Japanese school right now. So after I took the photo, I open the photo in Photoshop, okay, and I do this protocol that I developed with Dr. Ed McLaren and with Dr. Ronald Goldstein. You can download the article totally free at edmclaren.com. Okay, he was one of the first guys, out there analyzing color through the computers since more than 15 years ago. And after that, many papers about how to analyze with LAB, HSB, green and blue, red, green, and blue. Let me share another teaching point here. Remember, okay, we have to know that the color is coming from the middle third. That's it. The tooth and the shade tab. Okay, so we can do a notch to stabilize the guide. Okay, because this is key point so the protocol can work properly. The shade tab and the tooth and the gray card, because we need a gray card here, has to be in the same vertical plane, receiving the same amount of light. So, if somebody goes to your office and starts teaching color with the shade tab modified in this way, that guy knows about color, okay? Because this is a normal shade tab. We know that all the colors coming from here. At least you have to do the notch to stabilize the guide in the vertical plane, okay? This is gonna be in the incisal edge, okay? That is the minimal modification to the shade tab. Another modification that you can do, because the incisal edge here doesn't work for anything, nothing, nada, is to cut it. Okay, so you have now two modifications. I just keep the middle third, that is where all the color, really is coming from the tooth, and the shade tab. Because the companies, to match the tooth, they put some opacious porcelain. And this is the gray card that we recommend. Remember something, the function or the main function of the gray card is what? Just to calibrate the white balance. White balance is temperature. Remember something. The white balance is in your camera has to be between, or should be in your camera in the settings, between 6,000 and 7,000 Kelvin degree. Okay? If you can custom this number, I recommend that you custom with this one, 5700. Okay, this is the number who really works around everything. You can read more in the article that we published in the beginning of these years. So remember, the range is between 5,000 and 6,000. The magic number is 5700. If you're gonna custom this number, you have three options in your white balance menu. You can use daylight, you can use flash, okay? Or you can use cloudy. You have three options mainly. And remember, you need this temperature when you are doing shade selection. Okay? So, let me show you few lights you can buy per different prices. The cheapest way to have daylight in your environment, daylight control environment, lab or your office, you have to buy two OTT lights. You buy this in Amazon. OTT light is 5,500 Kelvin degree. This is the cheapest way to have daylight range in your office. You're gonna put this, okay, in this distance and the same level, 45 degrees to the patient. Okay, so that is the cheapest way. There are other lights, okay, you can buy what I call the first generation corrective light from Smileline. The name is the Smile Light. Or you can buy the second generation or the newest one, the MDP. This is a pretty good tool. You can make video as well. So you have the range, okay? Of course, this MDP has the advantage that you can make a video, okay? You can cross-polarize. So there are the 5 tips that I can share with you about selection shade. Remember something, a single shade matching trial should last no more than 5 and 7 seconds at the time. So, in other words, your shade selection has to be fast because let me ask you something. How long takes to the patient to realize that the central match is not a match? It's a mismatch. Fast, okay? Less than 10 seconds. So, the first tip that I can share with you is, remember, teeth lose water after preps, after you take impression. You can hydrate the tooth, okay, with with the stain and glaze liquid. Okay, you can buy off the bottle. As to the ceramics, where he bought it, okay? So you're gonna put a little bit of this liquid on the tooth of the patient and in the shade tab. Second tip, make the notch, okay, in the neck. Remember, okay, this is the minimal modification to stabilize the guide, the shade tab. Remember, shade tab, gray car, and the tooth on teeth has to be in the same vertical plane. The third tip, okay, in the photo, you have to have from 2 to 3 shade tab. And number 4, always a gray car in your photo. That is very important, a gray car to calibrate the white balance. And number 5 here, always go with your abutment one value group higher to the final restoration. Remember, your technician likes high value canvas, high value substrate, high value abutments, high value custom abutments, because they don't want to fight with low value abutments in general. And can we measure color? Of course. I measure my color in Photoshop. It's pretty easy. I can get the lightness, okay, from LAB and the saturation from HSB. You can analyze red, green, and blue as well, okay? But what I always measure is value, okay? Stump shade, a final decided shade. And if I need it, I can measure chroma, okay, even in the same photo. And for verification, and remember, this is the last part of the trilogy of Dr. McLaren, you can use any spectrophotometer like the Vita Easy Shade, okay? They work, but let me share something with you here because I use it every day in my practice. My assistant, they use it. By default, it's coming that you can measure here in 3 points, okay? I recommend that you change this like this, okay? That the instrument just is gonna measure in the middle third of the tooth. Remember, everything is coming from the middle third, talking about color. Let's see this case that I did with one of the great ceramics that I've worked with, Sean Park from Los Angeles, okay? We were former students of Dr. McLaren, so we already are really calibrate. This patient is from Venezuela, South America, okay? And Sean Park is here in Los Angeles. So, remember that you have to do the math. Okay, you have to make the numbers talking about color. You know that every 0.3 millimeters is a change of color group. I call value group. Every 0.3, you're gonna create the space so your ceramics can change one color group. So, I spread around 0.3, and the most important thing here is that lab has to duplicate the stump shade in the lab. In this case, I recommend this to everyone who is doing a lot of IMAX out there. Like a dentist, you should buy the natural dye abutment shade tabs or shade guide color. And the technician should buy this material. This is the composite who match each one. Okay, so I do my shade selection of my stump shade, okay, and he has to duplicate this stump shade in the lab. Before I go back to Venezuela with the veneers, I'm gonna do my first try in the lab with any optical connection. Try in paste. Remember the try in paste, they are not 100% match of the cement, but they help like a reference, okay? So we can custom any stump shade with composite dyes or stain. Another way to do your stump shade dye is with this PMMA gray material from Annexden, New Outline, okay? So we can have the master dyes, the fitting dyes, and the stump shade dyes to verify shade, okay? So the only communication in this case was through photography, remember that? Okay, so remember, this is my patient in Venezuela, and this dye was created in Los Angeles, just based on photography, and this is the final result. Sean Park never saw the patient with this case IMAX MO with full layer. Okay, so let me go through more cases. This is another digital dental team case with Sean Park. When I call a digital dental team, I use my scanners to get 90% of the case done and the final touch by my ceramics. In this case, we use IMAX CAT. We did all the photos, all the records. We place the bonding functional state prototype on the patient. And let me share with you a little bit of preps, okay? Remember, when you have to close a spaces, you have to go a little toward leanward, the L shape, okay? So they can create the mini wings. And you have to place an extra core so you can squeeze the papilla with the restoration, but it's coming from the impression as well. We do our shade selection. Remember, we use a glaze liquid, not too much. You don't want to create too much specular highlight. And we do our plan. Our goal is to get 2M1. I already had a conversation with the patient. And this is the prescription from my ceramics. Okay, from my ceramics. We did double scan. We wax the case and we scan the preps and we scan the wax. And remember, sometimes, you know, these machines, they're getting better and better. They cannot read knife edge. So what we used to do in the past, okay, is just to add a little material here, digital, and after that, you know, mechanical finish in the lab. We right now in blue phase, we're doing Sisal matrix to create that minimal cut back. Now we crystallize the system and we want to create the mamelon effect just with internal stain in this case. I don't have too much space to create too much color with powders. Look the nuances and the mamelon effect that Sean placed there. A little bit of a skin layer, correction bake, and that's it. Ready to go to the mouth. 90% digital, 10% by my technician. That is the final touch that we still need. Pretty important. Even dentists, they can learn how to do stain and glaze. So let me share something with you. I use this bird. This is a zirconia bird. The name is Stain Buster. Okay, you can get it here in the United States in Columbus. So it's just gonna remove composite. Orthodontics, very important to remove braces. Here we go, Stain Buster burrs. This is the final case. Okay? So, if out there who is listening right now, there are some SEDEC users, Okay, let me share a couple things that I did. A few years ago, one of my research about fluorescence. I love fluorescence. This is one of my main topic about research. So, Suprenity. I know it's banned in some countries, but in Europe you can buy it. In Mexico you can buy it. Suprenity is pretty low in fluorescence. Okay, Emax Cat and Emax Press. Everyone knows that Emax system, okay, is pretty low in value. Okay, with the new zirconia, high translucent multi-layer zirconia, that fluorescence problem is gone. They're more aesthetic, okay? In part of the aesthetic is because they have fluorescent. But high translucent zirconia is a hot topic right now. And I added right now in this lecture because the new zirconia has two phases. Okay, we're talking right now the third generation of zirconia. Now we can do a central match with this material. We can do partial veneers of bone lace with these materials. But zirconia has two phases, clinical phase and the lab phase. And you have to know how to treat the zirconia when get from the lab. That is a very important point. Because, remember, they don't have any more 1000 megapascal flexural strength because they are cubic phase. When we were in the first and second generation and you were working with tetragonal phase, there is a healing phase. You can heal the crack. But with the cubic phase, this new zirconia, you cannot heal the crack. When you make any damage or the lab makes any damage, okay, it's already there. And one point, very important point, is how you polish your zirconia. Remember, how long the glaze is gonna be there? From 6 months to 3 years, mostly. Okay, in our research at UCLA, 6 months. That's where glaze lasts in the mouth. And for that reason, you have to do a really good mechanical polish from the lab side. And if you adjust the occlusion, okay, intraoral, you have to have, okay, a very good intraoral polishing and finishing Emax and zirconia system. And this is a paper that we published the last year. And let me show you the conclusion of this paper, okay? This is about polishing intraoral zirconia and Emax. I published this with Dr. McLaren and the group from UCLA. Some conclusions. Points, they don't work well, okay? Disc, they work better. But this is what really you have to buy, feather lights. And remember, electrical handpieces between 8,000 to 10,000 RPM. And you have to buy electric handpieces, okay? Because part of this research was to compare electric handpieces versus iDriven. You can see the difference in this SEM. So everyone out there, buy electrical handpieces. This is what I have. And let me show another cases. This is our zirconia, high translucent multi-layer zirconia, like with my friend Cynthia Garibay, okay, in Mexico. She placed the implant, the first option of treatment planning for ortho. Okay, the patient refused ortho treatment. So we placed just one implant, and this is the fluorescent in the new zirconia. Okay, look, the high fluorescent. This is part of the aesthetica that it offers, the high translucent zirconia. So, second phase, okay, we start shaping the tissue, and we are ready for shade selection. So I go to Mexico and I do the shade selection, always with my gray card. I follow the trilogy, visual, photography, okay? I analyze the photo in Photoshop, and after that I verify with my Vita Easy Shade. In this case, we use Noritake Super Translucent Multi-Layer Katana. For me, one of the best in the market. Look how it works, the digital dental work. 80% monolithic and 20% layer, okay? Even we can go further. We can go 90% monolithic, 10%, finishing by my technician in the anterior zone. In posterior, 100% monolithic stain glaze. When we're talking about central match, what's the dimension of the color? One attribute of the color that we have to be very aware is texture. Okay, in central match, you can get right value, you can get right chroma, position of mamelons, you can get the fluorescence right, but you miss the texture of the adjacent tooth, you're gonna have a mismatch. Something is gonna throw you eyes off during the try-in. Remember, the patient is in Mexico and the technician, in this case James Choi, is from United States. My only tool for communication is my camera. Okay, so in this case we do a screw bonding retain restoration. Okay, this is zirconia, this is the T-base. So I do my try-in, first crown, and in this case I don't have the photo, but I use the polarize. I use the polarize to verify which one of the crown was the closest match. Always in central match for my shade selection, polar eyes. I try white crown, I try the second one, I bond it outside of the mouth and I screw the best closest match. It's not 100% perfect, but I think it's pretty close to 92%. And talking distant conversation, you cannot see it, the central match there. So this is it before and after, okay? If Cynthia is out there, hi Cynthia. So this is the case. They start all this lecture, okay? This patient need treatment. We make all the records, okay? With all the photos. I sit down with my teamwork, my technician, my perio, okay, my oral surgeon, my implant guy, and we present the treatment planning to the patient. The patient knows that he needs treatment, but he cannot further right now, talking about ceramic restoration. What we do, and this is every day happens in my practice, I use a lot of this technique of the long-term prototypes in composite. Okay, so we do the perio surgery. I did this case in Tijuana, Mexico with my friend and colleague Julian de Anda. I did endo in these two centrals. Again, we can open a discussion about endo, no endo, okay, but I did the endo and So thank you very much for everyone out there. Thank you for the invitation to this Congress. It was a great time. I just miss the people, okay, the energy, but the human voice is a powerful tool. This is my contact information, my email, how you can find me in Facebook, my Instagram, and the smartest people in the world, the game changers. They never quit their education. Okay, I like this phrase from TED. But myself, Dr. J, never stop learning. Thank you very much, everyone out there. Thank you to the International Aesthetic Master 2017. It was my pleasure. Okay, see you around the world.